Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 63, the top 10 of 2014 special. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Bandwidth for this episode is brought to you by Action Target. This is the episode post-Christmas. I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend and is going to have a safe New Year's and New Year's Eve. I have with me today on this roundtable episode TJ and Chad. Thanks, guys, for joining me.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know about Ryan.
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's good to have you back on, TJ, and I'm excited to talk about some of these products over the last year that have been kind of more exciting. Some of them are a little bit more personal that we've reviewed ourselves and kind of, felt like it made the top 10 list in our own minds, and some of these are undoubtedly, undisputedly pretty badass for 2014. So the first one I've got this week is actually something that we have not talked about on the show because they just announced it like the day before. And this is something that I already know is going to be top of 2014. Ruger, they've been announcing almost a new product every week since the summer. So it seemed like, there were some items that were kind of predictable or hit and miss, like, oh, well, nobody really wanted that, or, oh, yeah, people have been clamoring for that, good that they made it, but this is they brought back the Ruger 1022 Charger pistol, and they brought it back in two flavors, and one of them is, kind of standard with some modifications that they've added that we'll talk about, and the other one is takedown, just like their full-size 1022 rifle takedown. So not only do you have a compact Charger pistol, but now it breaks down even further for kind of ultimate plinking, compact, best bang for your buck. Throw it in the back of your truck. What do you guys think?
I think it's pretty awesome. I actually didn't even realize they had discontinued these, but I've always kind of wanted one in the back of my mind. Honestly, I have no clue why I wanted one. They're just really cool, and I would like to have one. That kind of situation.
I think I'm with TJ on that one. I was looking at it, and the takedown version with that green laminate stock, that's pretty cool looking. And don't they made a kind of a special 15-round magazine for it also, it looked like.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed when Ryan sent me a link to it yesterday, was that it had that short magazine. They didn't really address it too much in the link, but you could clearly see on the side of it, it says BX15, so 15-round stick magazine rather than their normal internal box that comes with it. And I guess one of the big things with that is that I think the Charger is usually marketed with that bipod. I don't know if it usually comes with it, but it's usually marketed to be set up with that bipod, so they wanted a shorter mag for you to be able to use it with.
Yeah, that in itself, that 15-round magazine, that could have been a new product that we all would have been happy about. But it seems like they just kind of slipped it in under the radar with this new Charger release. I think it's the last product they announced of 2014. I mean, way to finish out the year. It's got a cold hammer forged barrel that is threaded, 1/2 by 24?
28.
For your 28?
Yep.
Okay, so for your flash hiders and your suppressors, and it is a short barrel, so you get the luxury of when you put the suppressor on there, you don't have a long overall profile. So the overall length of both of these is 19.25 inches, and the barrel length on both is 10 inches. It does have an AR-15 style grip, just the A2 grip. So it seems to me that you'd be able to take that off and swap it out with any one of the other millions, or I guess I'd say hundreds of AR-15 grips on the market. So if you're more of the Magpul guy, you can throw that on there. If you like your ergos or whatever flavor of AR-15 pistol grip, you can put it on there.
Yeah, I think that's a really awesome feature right there. You know, just that's definitely a lot over the last iteration. They didn't have that removable grip on there like that, so that's pretty cool. Kind of throws off the aesthetics of it a little bit with the wood stock, but I bet it'd look pretty cool with a synthetic stock, which I'm sure they're not too far behind.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would probably, if you wanted to be a purist and only have wood, you can hit up like Turnbull and buy one of those wood grips that they, or Wyndham, I think they've got a wooden AR-15 furniture kit. Put a wood grip on there or something else that's not so cheap and inexpensive. Obviously, they went with the A2 because there's a gajillion of them sitting out there in military warehouses. You know, it's just one of those parts that are just molded, and they make way too many of them. I've got about 20 in my junk drawer right now. So obviously that was the most cost-effective production decision. But I mean, this just looks like something, if I walked into my gunsmith's office and he had Frankenstein this together, my jaw would be on the floor because I'd be like, dude, that is awesome. Like, that, I almost feel like that's, yeah, Ruger, somebody cooked this up and went, holy crap, we need to bring that to market. Because the original Chargers, you know, they kind of stopped making them, and so the ones that are floating out there, like, we're getting a huge price tag. People asking ridiculous amounts for them, you know, up to probably about $500, $600 or more.
I saw one earlier today for close to $1,000. It had a scope on it, but I don't remember. Maybe it had some other features, but it was close to $1,000. So I bet the demand is high until these are released, I suppose.
Yeah, so hopefully this should bring down the price of some of the originals. But I mean, why would you want an original when you can get one that's got a threaded barrel?
Oh yeah.
And it does have a Picatinny rail already that comes on the receiver. You can swap out whatever A2 or AR-15 style grip you want. The BX-15 magazine it seems like it's designed specifically for this, so that when you're bipoded out with the adjustable bipod that does come with it, you know, your magazine, it doesn't contact the bottom, your shooting bench or the ground or whatever. So you can rest this thing, have it pointed down range, and not have to take the mag out or lay it on its side. The stocks on both of these are absolutely beautiful, I think. The standard non-takedown one, that brown laminate, is just such a good classic look, but that green mountain laminate on the takedown one is even, I mean, they could have gone with a regular brown laminate that's converted to the takedown with the extra assembly, but that extra green looks really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a good little aesthetic.
Yeah, I thought the mountain green was pretty cool over the brown laminate. Was still pretty neat, but yeah, that green just adds to it.
Yeah.
So for an MSRP on these, I just want to let the listeners know that for the standard one, we're looking at $309 for the MSRP. For the takedown, it's $100 more. It's $409. So I just wanted to let them know that.
Yeah, I was going to mention the takedown. The barrel's 10 inches, and it's only 19 1/4 inches overall. So when you break this thing down, it's going to be less than 10 inches of room taken up. So that's pretty awesome, compact little thing. You know, to stick in a backpack or something like you said.
Yeah, and it also
have the bags.
Go ahead.
I wonder if they're going to have the bags like the regular takedown rifles do. They're going to have a similar feature.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. It looks like it does come with a soft case, or a hard plastic case of your. So it looks like you'll be. They don't show a picture of the soft case, but the hard plastic case looks like you know, it's got egg crate foam in there that's been cut out to fit the halves and the different parts, the barrel and the upper and the lower and the grip, and then maybe at least one magazine.
Yeah.
So that's. I'd like to see the soft case. Maybe they're still working on designing that.
Yeah.
I think this thing is awesome. I think it's arguably one of the better things Ruger has put out this year.
Oh yeah, it's definitely cool.
I mean, yeah, it's accessible to everyone. It's not like ridiculously tactical. I
Hmm.
mean, you can put a red dot on this and have it be your truck gun, your plinker. You can have it set up for your kids. You know, it's not all that unwieldy, but it's I would say, you know, if instead of getting your kid like an SR-22 or a Mark II or Mark III, a pistol in 22 caliber, this would be a little bit safer because you got the bipod. You can have it pointing in one direction. It's not really designed to be set up to be waved around with one hand and shot single-handedly. I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there who will buy this and shoot it one-handed or two-handed from a standing weaver or isosceles or whatever stance they want. And you know, with the red dot, get good results. Obviously, with the bipod, that's kind of meant for a pistol scope, you know, an enhanced eye relief scope. I'm not a big fan of those. I guess I'm not. I haven't tried a real good one. Maybe I should step up and buy a really nice loophole or something. But
Yeah, I think a way I've seen a few people shoot these is similar to like you'll see on like the MP5s that don't have the stocks. They'll just kind of stretch a single point sling out to where it puts like it's almost like a negative stock. It puts pressure, pulling pressure rather than pushing pressure on your shoulder, and that kind of keeps it tight. So I've actually seen a few people shoot these like that.
yeah,
I would
now
guess that would be a pretty good way to shoot them.
I was going to say that of course this is going to be compatible with the 10-round mags and the BX25s as well as some of those aftermarket drum magazines. Should be able to run those just fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of conversation of people that see this and go, "Oh, how can I get an SB15 SIG arm brace on here so I can convert this into basically an a legal SBR with my suppressor on there?" So I'm not a real expert on what stocks are available for the 1022 or how you can make it accept basically an AR-15 buffer tube so you can put on that SIG brace. Do you know how to do that, TJ or Chad?
I did see yesterday. If you look up the Blackhawk Axiom, AXIOM, it attaches like a M4 type stock. Now I don't know if it has an M4 threaded buffer tube where you could swap that out and put a pistol buffer tube on it, or else you might have to go another route. You maybe would grind off the normal rifle buffer tube tab that keeps it makes it adjustable. Maybe you grind that off and put a SB15 over that. Actually, I'm not even sure if that's legal, but I suppose that would be one way to do it.
I'm guessing that if it's not attached to that stock, somebody will make one that has a buffer tube attached to it so you can put the brace on it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it won't be long.
Yeah.
There is the ATI AR-22 stock system that looks like it's got it's like an AR-15 configuration, or it's kind of molded to look like some features of an AR-15 receiver, but it does have that buffer tube on the back, and it looks like it comes with the company's Strike Force AR-15 stock. So you should be able to buy the ATI AR-22, take off their stock, put on an SB-15, and then drop in your barrel and your charger action. It should work.
Yeah, just as long as you put it in after you've taken the stock off.
Yeah, be very mindful of not upsetting our ATF powers that be. You don't want to take this and slap it into a Hogue stock and just make an SBR, willy-nilly. Yeah, that's all I need to say on that.
CYA.
So
one last note, Ryan, real quick.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the grips, and I just happened to be curious and looking at Ruger's other their AR-15s that they offer. Both their AR-556 and their SR-556 have not A2 grips. They have, I guess, their own. One of them, it looks like their own branded grip that kind of looks like a Magpul, and the other one has something that looks kind of like a Hogue or something. So it seems like they would just use something that's already in the stock that they have, but I guess they just wanted to go with A2.
Yeah, I mean, I've like Rock River, you can put a Hogue grip on or order a Rock River AR-15 with a Hogue grip, and it's got Rock River's logo kind of like right in the side of the grip, but Hogue makes it. So yeah, that does bring up the point that they could have used one of these other, I would guess I'd call them premium grips, but it seems like they chose the least common denominator and just threw an A2 on there. So take it for what it is, and it does seem like that it's just got a thread protector. It doesn't come with any kind of flash hider.
Right.
So, but I think it's still pretty awesome. As soon as I saw one, I wanted one. And it's not just kind of oh yeah, that'd be fun to try. Or it's like no, I think that would make a great addition to my collection. So it will be reviewed if I can manage to get a hold of one.
Yeah, you can never have too many 1022s.
No, I mean this would just work so good in so many applications. I mean for hunting, it's really easy to open up your window and if you got a pesky squirrel, or if you're hunting from a blind or doing a little woods walk, it's much easier to carry than a standard 1022. It does come with a bipod swivel in the front, and it looks like I thought I saw pictures that the brown laminate version must have had one of those Picatinny bipod swivel like adapters that like grip onto your existing swivel and gives you a swivel with the addition of like 2 sections of Picatinny rail, like just like a barely half an inch to 3/4 of an inch worth of Picatinny rail. So just one slot for your bipod, which seems to be that they're including. So I guess you could now. Tell me if this would be illegal or not. You get this, it comes with that adapter, you take off the bipod and you put it on a vertical foregrip. Is that illegal on this configuration?
I don't believe so. I think that makes it an AOW.
I think Chad's right, but it seems like I saw something to the contrary the other day, so it's kind of another one of those things where you have to do your own research, but stay on the safe side and just say no for now.
Okay, good.
I've seen both.
I thought the overall length needed to meet and exceed 25 or 26 inches, and this looks like it's 19.25, which comes nowhere close. You would either, to avoid that, you'd have to like pin a suppressor on there, like weld it on there.
Yeah, but then you basically have a legal rifle, so you could do anything.
Yeah, but so don't get one of these, put a vertical grip on there, and then take a picture of it and put it on Facebook. That's not legal advice, it's just common sense. But so they give you that Picatinny rail option, so I mean, I think you can flip that adapter around so the Picatinny's in front of the stud, and then you can maybe put like a flashlight or a laser on there. Just throwing something else out there for you guys. Does this come with the standard trigger group? I know we've talked about this thing for probably about a good 10 minutes now. But,
I would imagine for $300 for the base model, I would imagine it would come with a standard trigger group and not that upgraded BX trigger.
I really wish it came with the BX trigger group, but maybe they'll offer that as an upgrade at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure eventually all their rifles are going to be, or all their 1022s and the Chargers will probably have that option from the factory. I would imagine it'd only be smart to do that.
Right.
That's just speaking from just speculating,
Yep. So if you want to check that out, go on over to Ruger's website, Ruger.com, click on Rimfire Pistols, and then all the way at the bottom you'll see 22 Charger, and then you can look at all the goodness that's there. So then the next product is what I would consider, up to this point, the most talked about, blogged about, anticipated, and lusted over item of 2014, and it's the Silencer Co. Salvo 12. It came in the latter half of the year, and it's kind of taken the whole tactical hunting world by storm. Even though it's priced at $1,400, which is still pretty steep for a suppressor, it's engineered well, and it seems like it's going to be very popular the more people get them and the more you see them. because for shooting trap, shooting in tactical applications, shooting in hunting, in your duck blind, or you're walking around for doves or quail or any upland bird. Having something to lower the report of your shotgun and not damage your eardrums is a good thing, because it'll go quick. I probably have lost maybe 15-20% of my hearing abilities just from not using ear protection, walking around and shooting in the duck blind and shooting birds.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see this whenever it came out, because it's kind of like they've done it before with other companies, but there's never been one that's really been commercially available. And Silencer Co. went ahead and made one that was just packed with features. I mean, this thing, it seems like you can change the chokes out to fit on different shotguns. You can change the length of it to kind of tune it length versus noise reduction. If you want it longer, or if you want it quieter, obviously it's going to be longer. But if you want a shorter, handier one, you'll just get a little bit of extra noise out of it. So it's definitely very customizable.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, this is my probably favorite thing on the top 10 list. Yeah, not that I have one or probably will ever buy one, but the first time I see one and get to shoot one, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, for me. Oh, go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say it just looks really cool.
Yeah, for me, it's probably the least accessible one on here, but probably, like Chad said, the one I would most like to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's engineered so well. I mean, they didn't have to make it so you can break it down into sections and shorten it depending on if you've got a home defense 18-inch barrel. Maybe you don't mind having the most noise reduction and a little bit of a longer overall length. Or if you've got a long 28-inch barrel and you don't want to be holding a telephone pole out in front of you, you can reduce it down to its shortest configuration and still be within hearing safe levels. Also that, and just like their Osprey, it's not what's the technical term that we found out for the design, where all the baffles and the design is hanging below the sight plane.
I think it's eccentric, as opposed to like concentric would be a circle inside a circle, but I think this one's eccentric is the word for it.
Yeah, that's it. That's brilliant, because if you've got a shotgun that's just got a bead sight, a traditional suppressor design would basically cover up that front bead, and you wouldn't be able to accurately hit your clay target or your game. Doing this eccentrically, it hangs down below. The only thing is it gets in the way if you wanted like a elongated magazine tube. You wouldn't be able to have that, because this kind of gets in the way of the magazine tube. So you won't be able to add too many extensions on there. But you should still probably, by the looks of it, at least get, I don't know, like 8 or 9 rounds in a tube, depending on your shotgun.
Depending on your shotgun, especially if you, like you mentioned, a big, like a 28-inch Wingmaster or something like that, you could fit something like a 6 or 7 plus tube on there, so you could have close to 10 rounds or so on board with a silencer. That would be pretty freaking awesome. Yeah.
If I had $1,400 to blow and I walked into a Class 3 shop and they had this sitting under the counter, it would take an act of God, or an act of a very strong woman in my life to keep that money in my pocket, because, man, that's awesome. If it comes down in price, what's that?
Have you given her that memo yet?
I'm sure she's listening right now.
If you see this on the shelf, grab my shoulder, pull me back.
No, she's going to be printing out flyers with my face on it. If you see this man in your shop, do not let him spend more than this amount, or contact me if you see him. Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, you mentioned $1,400. I think they're mounting it to a Benelli M4, so I think if you can afford a Benelli M4, you can afford another $1,400 to throw a silencer on the end.
Right. Well, I mean, like if you got if you paid like $300 something for your Remington 870, I mean, think of you bought kind of a budget shotgun, you've got money to spare for getting one of these.
There
I think
you
it's
go.
great for home defense because the shotgun has been long touted as the ultimate self-defense platform. Because you've got the variety of different shot you can put in there. Hell, even Joe Biden said shotgun would be good for self-defense as opposed to an AR. Only problem is you shoot that in a tight hallway. You're going to be yelling in the cop's ear when you're trying to give your report because your eardrums are going to be gone for at least a day or two. So if this was like mandated, or if this was cheaper and more accessible, I think that a lot more people would use this in their home because you could essentially use it for self-defense and nobody would have to go deaf. And
Yeah.
then the whole thing of not having it taken away from you because a suppressor used in home defense. I don't want to add to that statistic of people shot with guns with suppressors each year. I'm sure there's a tally somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably pretty close to 0, though, I would imagine.
Yeah, I want to keep it there so they don't start taking away.
Yeah.
Anywho, if you are interested in that, which you should be if you're a red-blooded American or red-blooded of any nationality, go to silencerco.com/products/salvo, or you can just look under their products and then go to suppressors and you'll see the Salvo 12 on there. I would give this the crown of products in 2014 for sure.
I think
Yeah,
I'd have to
I would
agree
too.
with you there.
Yeah, I think we all would.
So the next item we're going to talk about is, I guess, what a lot of people anticipated to be the number one product of 2014, or at least it wasn't what they were quite anticipating, and it maybe might have fallen short of people's expectations, but regardless, it was a pretty popular firearm this year. It actually came out, or officially publicly debuted last SHOT Show, so the beginning of last year, or I'm sorry, the beginning of this year. And that would be the Glock 42. What everyone was hoping would be a single stack 9mm turned out to be a single stack 380. But a lot of people have it, and a lot of people love it and swear by it. Unfortunately, that's not 100% of the testimonials you'll get or the reviews you'll hear on it. There's some models that I guess have had some issues, or some shooters that have had some issues with stovepiping and failures to feed. But there's a lot of people that say they've already shot 1,000 rounds through it and had no problems at all.
Yeah, I think this was kind of a weird history of introduction, like you mentioned. They kind of teased a picture, from what I remember, right before SHOT Show last year. They teased a picture, and a lot of people were speculating that it was going to be the 9, and then it was a 380. Everybody was all mad about it being a 380. Why would they do that? Why would they do a 380? They should make a 9 and everything. And then as soon as it comes out, everybody's got one. like it didn't seem to matter that it was a 380 anymore because everybody loved it, and not everybody obviously, but a lot of people did really like it. So I would say it redeemed itself not being a 9, but I'm sure there are still plenty of people that are agitated that it's not a 9. I think what this kind of marks, though, is a good starting point in the next, I guess you could say, generation of Glock's history, being that it is a 380, because they previously weren't able to offer a 380 because of the import restrictions, but now that they're building them in America, that doesn't matter anymore. So no telling what else we're going to see from them that they wouldn't have previously been able to import.
Yeah, I'm just happy to see a new Glock anything come out. They've kind of taken the opposite business model as Ruger, where all of our products are golden. They don't really need changing. If there's something wrong with it, there's something wrong with the shooter. There's not a. What was the last new thing that Glock came out with?
I would say the 45 Gap, which, what was that? I don't remember when that even came out.
That's because it's gone already.
Yeah. And that really wasn't even anything new other than the cartridge. It was the same gun they've been doing, just a new cartridge.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with you, TJ, that this kind of paves the way for future innovations, or at least new products from them that might be their attempt to keep up with the marketplace. There already was a lot of pocket pistols chambered in 380 auto out there. So a lot of people maybe who aren't as into the industry might think, oh wow, this is original and innovation. But the fact is that like Keltec, Ruger, I mean almost everybody had a subcompact 380 out on the market in single stack. It wasn't really a new thing, but because it's kind of transitioned into, there's a lot more people applying for concealed carry permits in all the different states, and there's a lot more women concealed carrying. I think that the popularity of the 380 auto cartridge is definitely on the rise. When I got my hands on a Glock 42 to review for just a short period, I couldn't find any 380 in my town at all, and I live in like one of the gun meccas of Washington, so it was incredible that it was like, well, where's all this ammo going? That cartridge is just getting more and more popular because people that are more recoil sensitive, or they want a very small pistol that's much easier to conceal.
Yeah, it's definitely
So of course,
kind of a.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say it's definitely kind of a different form factor too. You mentioned the P3AT and the LCP and all those other similarly sized pistols. This is almost in a different class because it's maybe a half-inch more barrel, a little bit longer grip. It's just kind of all around bigger than the 380s we've been seeing. So, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't call it a pocket gun, but it's big enough to put on the belt, in a inside the waistband holster or something like that, and just disappear. So it's kind of like it's in between a pocket gun and a subcompact double stack or something like that. I think it's a pretty good compromise, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I held it side by side with a Glock 26, and they were virtually almost the same dimensions. Just the 26 had a little bit more grip length, I believe, and of course the slide width was a lot shorter on the 42, and the width of the frame also being a single stack. But this year, everyone's looking forward to, okay, now that they've tested the market, they've gotten a single stack pistol out there. It wasn't the caliber we all wanted, but they've kind of moistened our palate. Our mouths are kind of watering. Now when that single stack 9 comes out, hopefully this year at SHOT Show, people are going to just wolf it down, whip out their pocketbooks without a second thought, because it's like, okay, you see in the 42, maybe they've learned some lessons, worked out some kinks. Now here's the 9 version. This is what I've been wanting. I think it's going to be super popular this year. I don't know what they're going to call it. The 26S, or maybe they'll come up with a whole new number.
I think it would have to be a 43 or just a completely new number, because they're not. Glock isn't into renaming numbers. They just add a new one on the end, except for maybe the 17L, but that's a little different.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you haven't picked one up at the store, the good thing is that you can probably go to the local store that carries Glock products, a Glock dealer, and be able to try one out for yourself, see how it feels for you. For me, I would like it if it, once again, I saw its Achilles heel to me personally being 380. I think that it seemed like if it had a little bit of a stronger caliber, like 9mm, it would have fed a little bit better. A lot of people say that if you get stovepipes or failures to feed, it's because you need to adjust your grip. Maybe your thumbs are riding the slide, and that friction is slowing the slide down and causing that feeding issue. Maybe a higher caliber bullet like the 9 is going to remedy that. Maybe they've figured out whatever the problem was. I hope.
Yeah, I know they had a few different iterations of parts also this year that I've seen an article about, where they just kind of snuck by some maybe upgraded parts. Maybe they would have one particular part that wasn't marked, and now it's got a 1 or a star or something like that. Like they're just kind of sneaking by updates, I guess, as they were getting reports back from people.
Yeah, I read that same article and wondered about that. But I think part of the reason a lot of people are liking it is because not being so small, like a Ruger LCP or something, 380 is so small, or the Keltec 380s, that they're just so hard to shoot because there's so much recoil. but with the Glock 42, it's slightly larger. It fits your hand better. So I think a lot of people actually like how it shot better than some of the super small 380s.
Yeah, one thing I know that really a lot of people, well, a good bit of people liked was the fact that it doesn't have the finger grooves. I've seen tons of complaining about Glock's finger grooves on the internet and everything, and I actually remember seeing a thread on Glock's Facebook that said, for, what would you vote to put in our next generation of handguns? And I read through that comments, and it was overwhelmingly remove the finger grooves. And this was before the 42 came out. I don't know if that had any weight on this or not, but it is pretty cool that they're going back to that. If maybe they're listening to the customers, or maybe it was just easier to design one without them. I'm not sure.
I certainly hope it's listening to the customers, because that's what's going to drive Glock into the next generation of firearms in the industry. So just to hit on the stats, of course, it's 380. It's got a capacity of 6 in the magazine. The trigger pull is 5.5 pounds, give or take. Unloaded, it's 13.76 ounces. And let's see, how long was the barrel?
I don't recall.
3.25 was the barrel length.
Yeah,
so most subcompacts have like a 3-inch barrel or shorter.
They're usually about 2.5.
Yeah.
I think the LCP is like 2.52 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's a very popular item. It has to be on our top 10 list for sure. Whether hopefully they've worked out the kinks, and it's going to be something that you see a lot more of in the future. So go on to Glock's website, us.glock.com, look under products, and search for the model G42. So next up, we've got our favorite DuPont polymer manufacturing company, Magpul. They came out with some new furniture this year for the AR-15 carbine, and they called this the SL line, which I guess would be the slim line of their Magpul original equipment. Is that what MO stands for?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So we got a carbine stock, a grip, and a handguard. I'm not too familiar with this M-LOK system. Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah, I think it's kind of their competition with what is the other one that's real popular that you say you don't like because you find the accessories on the floor at the range?
Keymod.
Yeah, Keymod, yeah. I think it's their competition with the Keymod. That just kind of similar form factor where it's just an easy, you don't have to have that extra nut in the back that you take the handguard apart, put the nuts and all that stuff. It's just you kind of slip it in and tighten something up in it, and it holds it in place better. And I think they are saying it's easier to manufacture than Keymod, so they think it'll take off a little better than Keymod, because I imagine those keyhole slots are a little more expensive than these M-LOK, which appear to just be some grooves in the furniture. I'm sure there's something going on behind it, but it definitely looks easier to produce than the Keymod stuff.
That was my understanding on the M-LOK also, was it's supposed to be easier to machine. And I guess I heard somewhere, so don't quote me on it, that it isn't proprietary. They released the drawings and stuff to pretty much anybody that wants them, but since everybody's tooled up to make Keymod is kind of what I heard, that nobody's really picked up the M-LOK stuff yet.
Yeah, it's definitely, I remember that being in the original press release. They wanted it to be open source to where, it's not locked down to where only Magpul makes their accessories. They want everybody to make their accessories. But like you said, Chad, it doesn't seem like anybody is making them but Magpul. Maybe it'll just take a little while to get traction. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, they've certainly redesigned the handguard from the original Mo handguard. You need to have a delta ring in order to configure this. It's a 2-piece handguard, but they've I guess I've seen so much of it that whenever I see a Delta ring, I kind of cringe. I'm trying to get out of AR-15s, but like, it's once again like the least common denominator. Like, oh, really? Like, free float that stuff, man. Come on, like, get with the times. But Magpul's designed their SL handguard to kind of conform around the D-ring. Where the top and the bottom of the rail are tapered, or not the rail, but the plastic of the handguard, so that it overlaps the D-ring. You still have access to the left and right sides to actually, depress the springs when you're disassembling your handguard. But no longer do you have that distinctive D-ring like that separates your handguard from your upper receiver. It's a lot more integrated in the design, which I really like. It kind of just kicks up, makes it more modern. And also, it's kind of got these wings on the left and right hand side, and as well as the bottom that extend past your gas block. So if you were using just an A2, gas block front sight post, or a regular gas block that had a top rail on it, you would still have access to that sight or that rail, but this would kind of cover up the gas block. So I think just aesthetically, it's a lot more pleasing to me. It also gives you an extra couple inches of real estate on the bottom of the handguard for your support hand if you wanted to like extend your arm more. So I think that's a really good design changes that will keep it current and still relevant as more and more handguards are being released by other companies. I'd hate to see that the regular MOE like die out because it didn't have any innovation to it, and I'm glad to see that they've provided that. So
yeah, and we haven't talked about the stock either. The stock is kind of a departure from what we're used to seeing too. It's just got a little more, I guess you could say, a little more futuristic look to it. It's not that traditional triangle M4 stock or MOE stock. It's got just completely different angles on it, and it looks really nice, and it doesn't have that big I guess triangular opening like the MOE has that maybe you could catch stuff in between and maybe hit your paddle release for your adjustability. It's all solid in there, and it's got a paddle on either side for you to actuate it. So it's definitely a different form factor than we're used to seeing. I think the stock looks really nice, and obviously I think it's supposed to be lighter weight and slimmer. Being in the slim line.
Yeah, and the stock, I actually was looking at maybe getting one, but I think it's got a hole in it, so I'm thinking maybe a sling swivel quick connect will punch in there.
I believe they put those holes on all their stocks, I think, for you to be able to put one of their little quick connect cups.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
And then there's also two regular slots for you to just run a whole sling through. I forget what the diameter of that is, probably like inch or inch and a quarter. But you can run that down the bottom or up through the top, depending on what sling configuration you're running with. But that's pretty standard on most of their stocks. They include at least 2, if not 3, configurations for sling mounting.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big innovative things for Magpul is they like you to be able to have options. Some companies, you get what you get, and that's it. But Magpul tends to give you a ton of different options.
Yep. So the MSRP on that handguard is $34.95, and is it available in the different? It's available in the black, fleck dark earth, olive drab, and stealth gray. It looks like the stock is only available in black right now, at least on their website. They don't show it in different colors. And that's $59.95 is the MSRP on that stock. And the grip is $19.95, and that's what we'll talk about. That's also available in the 4 different colors. I'm glad to see that stealth gray is being picked up more because that's kind of a nice urban, I guess, color configuration. There's not a lot of green or tan in an urban environment, but a lot of cement. So I think gray is kind of going to be the next flat dark earth as far as popularity goes. But the grip is very similar to I guess their K2 grip, which is it's a lot more of a vertical angle, and that's kind of optimized more for shorter length of pull weapons. So if you've got your stock, that's fully collapsed in, and so you've got it really tight up to your shoulder, or you have it a shorter stock because you wear some kind of body armor or external garment that prevents you from getting a good cheek weld because it adds some length to your or some thickness to your chest. That grip is more ergonomic for you to hold at a vertical position as opposed to holding your hand close to your body and having to cant your wrist to get that more steep angle of more of the traditional AR-15's grips are. So I think that's kind of cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I've shot some of the quite a bit, like what are they, and something like that, and then you get the ones that are more straight up and down, like this new MOE one, and you're able to keep your arms in so you don't crash into like doors and stuff. I think is one of the reasons they do that, because with the grip angle, it just kind of forces your elbows down.
Yeah, so I don't. Sometimes they have these available in like the kits where you can get all three at some of the lower price. Have any of you guys seen that around?
I have not. I haven't been looking for it either, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the SL line in that way yet, but I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, because that'd be nice to bring the price down a little bit if you're buying all three of them. I think maybe they're going to wait till they get the stock available in different colors too, because it'd be a bummer if you wanted all OD and then you only got the black stock. So hopefully that'll come out and in the other 4 colors here soon.
Yeah, and another thing we didn't mention is that the handguard's only available in the carbine length. So if you want a mid-length or a rifle length, you're out of luck for now. But I would imagine that's probably pretty close to coming out sometime in the near future.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's actually a good point. It's kind of
the only reason, honestly, I noticed is because I recently built a rifle length gas system, and they didn't have the SL, so I went with the regular MOE.
Yeah, it's definitely not as round as the MOE as far as the handguard goes and the profile. It's I think that's where it really got its slimness from, is that they kind of took some of the curves out, and it's a little bit more boxier, I would say. It's still got kind of a rounded edge, but I think it just kind of like flattened the sides a little bit more. So it's kind of interesting to see that. You've seen that in more traditional, I guess, European firearms that have kind of more of a boxier handguard. We're so used to seeing big old round circular ones, with that maybe I'm not really used to seeing it, but I definitely like and I dig what their designers are doing over there at Magpul.
Yeah, they definitely.
And I just so happen to be wearing my Magpul beanie tonight, so representing.
You're just a fanboy, Ryan. Don't lie.
I am. I'm a total fanboy. You should see my Magpul tattoo, but I can't show it to you on air. So next up, we got the Hex Mag. So it's kind of an interesting transition. Magpul obviously is well known for their PMags, their polymer magazines that have kind of become almost a mainstay in the industry. But coming up close on their heels is the Hex Mag, and that's a polymer magazine alternative to Magpul. That's got this kind of honeycomb pattern into it, but it's got some features that set it apart from PMags that a lot of people prefer these Hex Mags over because of those advantages. And our own Practically Tactical host, Nick, he's done an extensive review on the Hex Mag, and he's even shot one, and he still uses it. I think he replaced the spring and the follower, and I think he calls it a zombie mag. So he's got one that's got some 223 or 22 caliber bullet holes through it.
Yeah, something you have to keep in mind when Ryan says he shot one. He didn't shoot it once. He shot the heck out of one of these things, and it's still up and running.
He ventilated it.
Yes, very thoroughly.
So it's taking advantage of this hexagon pattern on the surface to give it a superior grip. The followers, of course, are anti-tilt followers, and they're also color coded, so you can essentially get a whole whole bunch of these and color code them for calibers. So you'll have the follower is colored, and then at the bottom of the magazine, the button at the bottom, the floor plate button, is also color coded. So that way, visually, you can tell what's a 300 blackout, 6.8 SBC, 6.5 Grendel, any caliber that you would essentially. I guess you wouldn't put some of those in an AR-15 magazine, but you can also, if you reload or you like to get multiple kinds of 223 versus 5.56 and different grains and weights, you can all color code those in your magazines. But more importantly, it's so you don't accidentally shoot a 223 and a 300 blackout, or vice versa.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. Kind of an organizational aid, I guess you could say, is these different colors, and a lot of people either really like the different colors, or they say, I don't need that. But it's still a cool feature to have. But the standard one it comes with, I believe, is orange, like a bright orange. So if you want additional ones, you have to purchase them, which it seems like it would be a little better idea if they would have, where you could buy a blue follower magazine, or yellow. If you don't want the orange to start with, you could just buy other ones. But I guess the follower kits aren't too expensive, so they just figure you just buy them and have an extra follower laying around or something. But it comes in 7 colors, I believe. They have green, red, pink, black, yellow, blue, and it's kind of like a light blue, and orange, like a safety orange kind of color. So you definitely have a good bit of options for different color combinations. And one of the added features we didn't mention is the bottom. Normally, like say with your mag pull, the little floor plate button that you have to press is relatively thin, so you have to get like a tool or maybe a bullet tip or something like that to push that in, and then you can slide your floor plate off. But with the hex mags, they're pretty large, so you could do that with your fingertip. Just push it down and slide your floor plate off without having to get a tool out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can also, if you want to number them or mark them in a way, you could write it, take a black Sharpie and put something on that floor plate button. And I guess if you really wanted to, you could do some kind of color fill in the hex on the outside. You could probably squeeze a number 1, 2, or 3, or put some kind of marking by color filling those hexagons. They'd be a little big and bright though, but I mean, I guess you could, even if you wanted to make different color fills for each one and still have that black as a contrast thing. That'd be kind of interesting to see too. So tool-free design. The springs are heat-treated stainless steel. They're 30-round clips. I'm sorry. Wow, 30-round magazines. Man. That's getting edited. So, and I also forgot to mention 458 SOCOM. Those actually will fit in this magazine, so that's another reason to get it color-coded, because if you got a SOCOM, you do not want to have that chamber in a 223 on accident. I don't think it would chamber, but you just don't want to mix that up.
Yeah, but just in case. This is pretty cool. I just noticed on their website. Well, first off, you mentioned color coding maybe inside the hex. One thing I did see yesterday, actually, somebody had posted a picture on Facebook where it looked like they had cut tiny little hex shapes out of some skateboard tape and filled like the lower half of the magazine with the skateboard tape to give it some more traction. So that was just another option. But looking on their website, they offer the body in 3 different colors. It looks like a black FDE and I guess OD green. It looks a little funny on my computer, so I just assumed that's OD green. But they also offer, which is really cool with some of the legislations coming out and all that, where it's kind of limiting the access of stuff. HexMag has what they call their true riser system, and it seems to be a piece that you put in between the spring and the follower, and so it's kind of a limiter system to where if you want a 10 or 15 round, depending on your where you live, your local legislation, you could limit it down to a 15 round magazine, which, I know that was a pretty big issue with Colorado's 15 round mag recently, 15-round limit recently is nobody makes a 15-round AR magazine, so you have to buy a 10-round. So this is a pretty cool option for that. You know, if you're stuck in one of those places, like our dear Sam Asner over there in New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool stuff. So the website for that is hexmag.com. So make sure you check those out. So the next product we have is something that I reviewed earlier this year, and it's coming along with me to SHOT Show. It's this Primo. Sorry, that was the sound of a Nerf gun falling over and rubbing against the wall. I got some Nerf guns for Christmas. I don't know if I can do a review on those, but they're pretty fun. Anyway, back to what I was saying is the Primo's Gen 2's trigger stick tripod, also available in a bipod or a monopod. It's like really a good shooting platform, you know, for taking it to the range. You got the trigger to adjust your heights. You know, you have to manually extend the legs a little bit, but it's a really stable platform. It comes with a yoke that you obviously would set your pistol barrel or your rifle stock in. I've used it on sighting in several rifles, and I've taken it with me hunting this year. But also a great thing, as you can see, is I have a video camera strapped to mine. Is you can take the yoke off, and it's got the mounts for either a spotting scope, you know, rangefinder, a video camera, or whatever. So when I go to SHOT Show this year, I'm going to be recording with this setup, and pretty handy. Especially you can rotate this ergonomic pistol grip pretty smoothly. So if you're recording and you want to take a panning shot or, you know, a rotating shot, I mean, it's really easy to do right here. So I'm going to definitely use this a heck of a lot at SHOT Show. You can also get it in different lengths, and you can get like a shorter. If you only plan to shoot from the shooting position or like a blind, you can get a shorter tripod or bipod or monopod, and that also is affected in the price. So I'm pretty sure I gave it a really good review here. The website for that is primos.com. Look under products and trigger sticks, and it's the Jim Shockey tall tripod. Jim Shockey is a really popular celebrity as far as you know, televised hunts. He's been all over the world, hunt on multiple continents, and taken many species of game. You know, I don't think he just slaps his name on anything. So the fact that it's on this tripod wasn't the reason why I bought it, but I can see why he allowed them to do that, because it is a darn good product and probably one of the better products I reviewed this year. So the MSRP is $195.95, and I managed to find it retail for about like $125. It does have a 1-year warranty, and I gave it an 8.5. The only cons that I detracted it from getting a higher score was, you know, there's a warning label saying not to overload it or use it as a walking stick. So there could be a potential of damaging the telescoping legs by putting like over 45 pounds on it. But other than that, it's a great tripod, and so I would definitely put that in the top 10 list. So next up, we actually have a red dot optic, the Vortex Spark 2, which I know has been really popular this year. The first generation Spark was okay, but it had a lot of faults to it. Its controls were on the outside, like on the facing outward on the side. So if you place this in a case and close the case, there's a chance that it might have hit the on button and drained your batteries or changed your brightness settings. So they've redesigned the Spark, and they put the controls in a more of a rearward panel. And the price point on it is still pretty good. The MSRP is $289, but you can get it like retail, you know, probably about $200, maybe a little bit less than $200.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I know whenever I was first looking at the Sparks a couple years ago, that was one of the big things that stopped me from getting one. Is a lot of people said those side controls that they had kind of made them vulnerable to being turned on in a case or something along those lines, being bumped on. So them moving those controls is definitely an awesome change, and in their design. So glad to see that.
The other nice thing about it, what I like about it is it's got a really small, what is it, 2 MOA dot, which is, so if you have to actually shoot something somewhat precise, you can still do that.
Yeah, the 2 MOA, you don't see that on too much. That's not like an aim point or something larger, or I mean more expensive, you know. But the fact that they put it on something relatively inexpensive is pretty awesome.
Yeah, shooting this or shooting any rifle, you know, to 100 yards, you don't really want to be covering up too much of the target. So 2 inches is about as much as I want to cover up or obscure of my target at 100 yards, just if I'm trying to shoot for good groups. But I think Sam Asner said he picked one up, and that immediately caused me to go to the store and pick one up for myself. So I'm kind of waiting for his review before I finish my review. But so far it's a great. If you really like the look of the aim points, but you hate the price tag, and you know this is a good optic that comes in at like almost half the price of an aim point. You still get the compact and the modularity of being able to put it on anything with Picatinny rail. So an AK-47, an AR-15, an AR pistol like this 9mm here. You know, any of your 1022s. It's really at home on a lot of rifles. You know, and the fact that it comes with different size risers, so you can get co-witness with your sights. So this is there's this larger riser, and then there's also like a smaller one that will, you know, you can use both of them and bump this up even taller. Right now, just using this one, it's able to co-witness with these iron sights. I think these are Midwest Industries backup iron sights. But it's a great little red dot for the price point, and I think that's really what drives the popularity of it. Is it's got a lifetime warranty. It's from Vortex. Vortex is making some great stuff, but it doesn't cost you nearly as much as an aim point. So you know, it might be something that, you know, when you're weighing the two, go with the one that, you know, you're not in combat, you just, you know, are plinking at the range. You know, get something that costs a little bit less, and then you have that extra money for ammo.
Yeah, Brian, about those risers, is that an absolute co-witness that you have there, or is it like a lower third?
Right now, I have an absolute co-witness because the iron sights I have are kind of, I've got that HK style front, so I really like the front hood, which is kind of circular, not you know, triangular or like a Triton, to be right centered with the objective of that. And then you can use that third riser to give it a lower third, because that would bump the sight up, so then you'd have a lower third witness.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I know a lot of companies don't seem to offer that absolute co-witness for whatever reason, and I really like that, having it right centered up. I think I'll have to pick one of those up in the future then.
Yeah, I wish it was QD, because I like the sight so much that I almost want to take it off and put it on other guns as I use them more throughout the year. But the nice thing is, yeah, just buy another one at the price. But it's really another good thing for them is they, you know, everyone, if you've listened to this show, you know how much I hate very obtrusive thumb screws on optics. It's not an obtrusive thumb screw. It's just a nice little hex or Allen screw. So it's really looks aesthetically good on your rifle for the price point. I mean, for $200 you could get something a whole lot worse. So I would definitely vouch for the Spark 2. And you can check that out at vortexoptics.com. Look under red dots, and you can see the Spark 2 right there. So I'm trying to see. We're picking up a little bit more. We've got just a few products left to talk about for our top 10 list. This next one, I'm going to go ahead and let TJ talk about, since he's got more experience, and this is his pick for the list.
Yeah, one of my picks, it may not seem like a super awesome top 10 pick, but I think it's a really cool tool, is the Lone Wolf Glock magazine disassembly tool. They came out with this, I think, sometime during the summer. and I got a hold of one to review, and it's just this awesome little tool. It fits any of the Glock magazines, so you can fit your 45 size magazines, your 9mm size magazines, and even the new 42 380 magazines will all fit in this tool. And basically what you do is you just put the base plate, slide it into the appropriate slot, and then push your Glock tool through the bottom, and then you just kind of slide the base plate off, which might not sound much to somebody that owns like a Beretta or a SIG that are pretty easy to take down. But if you own a Glock, you know just how difficult those base plates can be to take off sometimes. This is definitely a useful, ingenious tool, and for only $15, it's really like, wow, you almost don't have a reason to just not pick one up and have it laying around for when you need it, because if you've ever carried a gun, lint gets everywhere, so you need to take your magazines apart and clean them out every now and then.
Yeah, I've stubbed my thumbs and I've squared quite a few times in the past trying to take apart a magazine using some kind of pipe wrench or tool to squeeze the walls of the magazine to relieve some pressure from those tabs, which I've always been really wary of, because if you got something with a tool with enough teeth, you could be essentially digging into the plastic on those Glock magazines. So I know a lot of people let out a sigh of relief when they saw this product come out.
Yeah, that's one of the usual methods I had seen, and I never did it that way, just because it seemed counterintuitive to be squeezing the walls of my magazine in. It always seemed like it would mess it up to me, so I would just shove a screwdriver in there and force the base plate off. So I'm glad this tool is so useful.
So the price on that is just $14.95, and you can get that straight from Lone Wolf Distributors. Their website is lonewolfdisc.com, and you'll find that under tools. So Lone Wolf Magazine Disassembly Tool. Can't recommend it enough, and I would say that I am also a Lone Wolf fanboy because I love them so much. I do not have a Lone Wolf tattoo yet, but give it time. So next up, we have actually a product that's also a sponsored product spotlight, but I also thought it was a great product for the year. And just considering of all the steel products that Action Target offers, I think this is the most accessible for a wide variety of firearm owners, both handguns and pistols, both all age groups and all budgets. And so this is the rimfire dueling tree. So first of all, we'd like to thank our sponsors for sponsoring this podcast, and they're still offering the Radio 15 promo code. So if you go to their website, which is now leetargets.com, it's a new website. Don't panic; they've still got all their great Action Target products on there, but now there's even more law enforcement target stuff. And you use the promo code Radio15 to get 15% off your order. But the rimfire dueling tree is only $149, and it's a dueling tree, and the paddles are what bring the price down. A traditional dueling tree would cost easily much more, probably about $400 to $500. These steel paddles are meant only for 22 long rifle, 22 rimfire ammunition, which can be long rifle short. And so not only you have the cost effectiveness and accessibility for everybody who owns a 22 caliber rifle or pistol, but you also have a dueling tree, which is kind of one of the more interactive and engaging and fun targets to shoot at, both if you're shooting by yourself or you're shooting with a friend or a family member, and you can compete against each other. I think that's what really makes this product stand out for top 10 of my picks for this year. $150, and this thing only weighs 35 pounds. The steel grade is 1/4 inch AR500 armor steel, and you can set this thing out and pretty much duel with your friends. It's got 6 paddles on there. You put 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and you basically race you and your friend to see who can get all their paddles on the other person's side. So there's a lot of reloading that comes into that, obviously, unless you know, have a big old drum, and it's very much a shootout. But there's a lot of essential skills that you can develop when you're using a dueling tree. Also with yourself, just alternating between targets, you know, and learning to shoot and move your gun at the same time. All that good stuff. So the paddles are 4-inch diameter. You know, they don't recommend that you use velocities that are higher than 22 rimfire, like a 17 HMR. The velocity might be too great for the reactive mechanisms of the target. And then they also recommend that you shoot this beyond 10 yards to avoid any potential injury from ricochets or lead coming apart from your bullets. It does lean forward, and that angle is to deflect the splatter toward the ground. So I know a lot of people are kind of surprised when they get a dueling tree that's not standing straight up like a Christmas tree. That obviously would make the plates perpendicular, and you know, that could cause some potential ricochets. So that's why it's slanting at a slight angle, so that the plates are at an angle and all the lead from your bullets goes downward. But I mean, you guys, if you could get this, would you guys be down for it?
Oh yeah, I would absolutely get one of these. I plan on getting one of these as soon as I have somewhere to set it up. I actually have a friend moving back to town, and I think he's supposed to be getting some property, so we're definitely going to be setting this up on his property whenever that happens.
Yeah, the dueling trees are a lot of fun. They have at the range by me, they have a full-size one, which doesn't work with 22s, so, but they're still lots of fun, and 22 ones are just the way to go, because pretty much kids can shoot at them. I can shoot at it, and it's cheap.
Yeah, 35 pounds too. You can just throw it in the back of your car, and it's probably not even very large, so you probably could fit it in the trunk of a smaller car too.
And that's a huge difference, because I've actually got their full-size, full-velocity dueling tree, and it's because it's so heavy and so big. Like, I haven't done a review on it yet, or really gotten much use out of it, because I need to get a buddy to come help me get it out of my house. It's so large and heavy. I mean, you could, you know, definitely knock somebody's door down with it. So getting this, not only is it cheaper, and you're shooting ammunition, which is also cheaper, but it's lighter, and you'll definitely get more use out of it. You don't have to feel like you have to have the property and have it stationary and in one spot. You can definitely tote this around to different ranges, and then back home in the garage. So I would highly recommend this. I think it's an awesome product, and Action Target really knows how to design their steel targets, and you know, design them to last over time and be able to withstand being shot at thousands and thousands of rounds. So I would definitely recommend you guys take a look at this rimfire dueling tree. So if you go to letargets.com and under steel targets, you'll find the rimfire dueling tree.
To bring it back around, you could use it with our first product of the night, the Ruger 1022 Charger.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you have an M11 or some kind of fully automatic machine gun with a 22 conversion, you could definitely have some fun with this.
Yeah, you could. I wouldn't know anybody like that though.
Yeah, you could probably aim at the bottom paddle and just hold the trigger down and let the muzzle rise, knock the rest out.
Spray it up or something.
It's actually a lot harder to hit stuff like that by doing that. It's kind of odd that way, but I've tried it before on just regular plates, because with the 22 there's no recoil, but you get like 5 plates and you try to knock them down with one magazine just holding the trigger down, and it just doesn't work too well.
Well, the rate of fire is probably so high that you dump so many in the dirt just transitioning between one target to the next.
Yeah, you get about 4 on a plate rack.
Yeah, right on. So the next product, we obviously didn't have a review this week. At least I didn't, because we're trying to do this special and squeeze in 10 products within an hour and a half. So far, we're on track. We got one last product, and this actually fits under the tech, gadget, or app section. And this is a really cool product that you can't really deny it belonging on the top 10 list, because it's something that's accessible. Usually when I bring up a tech item, it's something that costs like $5,000-$10,000, or it's just purely research and development with military, blah blah blah. But this is something that's made for the civilian market to use, and almost everyone can use it. And it's the the FLIR 1 thermal phone camera case, or they just call it the FLIR 1. So it's a personal thermal imaging camera that syncs in with your smartphone. So it basically plugs into your phone. Or someone explain it better than me, because it's been a while.
Well, my understanding. Oh, you go ahead, TJ.
Okay, so basically it's kind of like, it looks like a case that goes on your phone. All you do is slide it onto your phone, and then what it does, it's got a couple little thermal cameras, I guess you could say, thermal sensors in the back of the case, and it picks up the heat signatures like any thermal imager would, and then it puts it into, I believe you have to download an app to use it on your phone, but it puts it in, it blends that picture with an image through your camera, so that way you get a really good picture of what's actually there. It's not like some of the other thermal imagers where it's just orange and red blobs. It actually kind of displays it as a picture. So you can use this. They say tons of uses for it. You could find, say if you're in a house, maybe looking for, you think you have a mold infestation or something like that, you can use this, because it's going to be cooler where the mold is, because it's going to be moist. Or if you have a rodent problem, you can find the rodents through the walls and all that stuff just based on their heat signature. Or, diagnosing vehicle problems, like if you have an exhaust leak, it'll show you where the heat's coming out. And there's just tons of different uses for it. And I believe give me 1 second to look at the price before I misquote it, but they're honestly not that expensive compared to other thermal imaging systems right now.
And they're on sale.
Yeah, they're normally $349.99. Right now they're on sale for $249.99, which is awesome. If I had an iPhone 5S, I would probably own one of these right now, but I do not, and they don't make one for the Samsung that I have. So it's kind of a bittersweet disappointment that I don't own one, but at the same time I haven't spent $250 on a whim.
And they're pretty much only available for the iPhone 5, correct?
Yeah, it's the 5 and 5S right now. I imagine they will come out. I guess they'll have to develop it for different phones in the future. Because when this thing came out, the 6 was already out. So it was already last year's technology, kind of, so they're probably definitely going to have to adapt a lot, I would hope. Or maybe my thinking was they need to make like just kind of a stand-in iPhone-shaped, camera type thing that you can just slip in and have it permanently without having to worry about having the wrong phone for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I wonder how this thing would work with that target app that you put your iPhone on your gun and target through it.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be pretty cool to get both of them to sync up the same way.
Yeah, and if not that, at least I know there's lots of mounts where you can get your phone mounted up on Picatinny rail so that you can record yourself shooting, kind of like an improvised GoPro. But you could essentially, if you're in some kind of law enforcement or tactical application where you needed to be able to see targets, not necessarily aim precisely at the heat source that you're seeing through the imaging of the camera, but at least have something on the side for you to be able to see in the dark and see if there's something hot, something cold. You can definitely use this and put it on the side of your AR. I imagine in the future someone's going to have some kind of integration app or put some crosshairs over that so you can zero it with your gun. I didn't have a whole lot of luck with that product that I tried this year with getting it to zero. I think it was it's called the IntelliScope. But yeah, that could have some definitely some tactical applications as well. not only that, but just checking to see your house if it's leaking, as far as heat, if your seals and your windows aren't good. You can also reverse the image out, so it can be more than just thermal. You've got kind of like positive and negative views of thermal. You can see hot, you can see cold. You can also have it kind of like night vision, and then like the opposite of that. It's got a bunch of applications, and it's just, I think, overall fun to have. You don't have to be a professional or a firefighter to need a thermal camera. It's just fun to see the world through a different perspective, and I think that's really what they're kind of banking on and releasing this at kind of a really affordable price that anyone with an iPhone 5 or 5S can attain. So it's somewhat firearms related, but not exactly. But I still think it is a pretty awesome tech gadget that came out this year.
Yeah, well, if you mentioned like a police officer or something earlier, and I was just thinking in Silence of the Lambs, if it was set in 2014, 2015, Agent Starling wouldn't have to have wait for Buffalo Bill to cock his hammer before, trying to shoot her to get the jump on him. So if she would have had one of these, she'd have been able to get to him way sooner.
Yeah.
So there's your firearms application.
Yeah, I mean, if you could film people shooting at night, and watch their barrels heat up through the camera, that would be cool. You could also, I think there's some based on the hotness of the light, there's a kind of a thermometer setting on here. You could actually take an approximate rating of how hot like a suppressor is getting under a sustained select fire.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, just to see that. I'm not sure if you can record from the app, but if not, I'm sure that's not far behind in development.
Yeah.
You could probably use it for. You could probably use it for hunting. If you're hunting something like hogs, which you could hunt at night, you could take it and, maybe if nothing else, you could maybe locate them and then shine a light out there and be able to shoot some of them.
Yeah, what you do is you got a shotgun. You get this mounted to the side of the shotgun where it's really solid. Go ahead and hold it still, shoot it, and on the camera where you see where your shot went, just take a Sharpie, just a permanent Sharpie, and draw a little circle right on the glass, and that's your reticle. So whatever you're aiming that circle at, you're gonna hit with buckshot. And there you go, folks. No charge.
I don't think anybody's gonna be mounting their phone with their $250 thermal imager onto a 12 gauge and then scribbling on the screen, Ryan.
Maybe that's why I can't have nice things.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
So if you want to check that out, go on over to the FLIR's website. That's FLIR.com, FLIR.com, and then look at the FLIR one.
Hey, one quick addition, Ryan.
Go ahead.
I forgot to mention, which I know a lot of people are probably thinking, this thing's going to use a ton of battery, but it actually has its own onboard battery. There's just a neat little feature there.
Oh yeah, that's cool too. That it kind of extends a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't extend your phone battery. It just only runs the FLIR only runs off of its own internal battery, so you don't have to worry about the FLIR sucking your phone battery down.
Okay. Do you guys have any runner-ups that didn't make the list, but you still think deserve like an honorable mention for this year? I would throw out the Tavor, because that was a really popular year for the Tavor. Also of course the Lone Wolf G9. It didn't come out this year, but it certainly more people started to run it. Especially because they started releasing the lowers in different configurations with and without the pistol buffer tube. And of course the SIG arm brace definitely got really popular this year. They even have a Gen 2, which I don't think we ever talked about, but they kind of redesigned. They didn't redesign it, but they kind of gave it a different look. It's got kind of more of a low profile. Yeah, more low profile. A little bit more striations in the rubber that kind of give it a little bit more flex, I think, than the traditional. In fact, I just had it on what I had just now, but the wings were a little bit stiff. I think giving them a little bit kind of not perforations, but scoring it a little bit more in the molding process. Makes those wings a little bit easier to wrap around your arm. So that definitely deserves an honorable mention. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, actually, you mentioned the Tavor, and it reminded me of was it Ratworks and Manticore Arms kind of had their collaboration where Manticore Arms built like a shroud, I guess you could say, fore-end that goes on the end of the Tavor, which is, I think it was only for the 9mm version of it, but then Ratworks made like a baffle core, I guess you could say, that mounted inside of that handguard, so you could have a integral silencer for the 9mm Tavor. So that was a really awesome, really innovative thing. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. When I saw that too, I immediately went like, "Ooh, I want that."
Yeah, I wanted it.
And the price tag wasn't that bad either. Wasn't it only about $400?
I don't even think it was that much. Maybe $250 or $300, honestly. Like I remember it being ridiculously inexpensive for what it was.
You got anything, Chad?
No, I would have said the SIG arm brace because it became super popular.
Yeah, the thing really took off this year. I think with that ATF ruling that they might have backpedaled on. But I think that really made it get popular.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
That's about all I got.
Okay. Well, so hopefully you guys agree that those items are pretty significant this year. I want to thank you guys for listening to the show. Just to get a little bit touchy-feely on you, we really appreciate all the listeners that personally email me with feedback and suggestions and questions and additions to add to the next show. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. Thank you for making this such an awesome little hobby to do. Also, thank you to all the guests that I've had on the show. Thank you to you two both for contributing as much as you have. TJ and Chad, I really appreciate everything that you've said on the air.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, even though it's been a while for myself. Chad's been carrying my weight these last few weeks.
Well, and that's definitely appreciated. And then also honorable mention to all the other people that we've had on the show this year. Sam Asner, of course, and then Nick from Practically Tactical, Mark, and Daniel Lance, everybody that's been on the show at one time. If you're listening, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate your friendship, and I hope to hear from everybody more on this next coming year. So there's no new listener feedback this week. I wanted to make sure you guys listen to all the other podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network. Specifically, we're plugging the Reloading podcast. If you're brand new to reloading, a greenhorn, a novice, a beginner, someone who thinks they're a master, and still can learn a thing or two, the Reloading podcast is great to add to your education. Mike is on that show, and he has a lot of guests on there, and they cover a variety of topics around rolling your own ammo, the benefits and the safety precautions you want to take so you don't hurt yourself. But it's really a fun hobby. I love it, and you can tell that Mike loves it too. It's just a great resource for you guys to listen to. So don't miss that. That's reloadingpodcast.com. Send questions or comments to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or myself, cross@firearmsradio.tv. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. And check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for future reviews and industry coverage and upcoming SHOT Show coverage from this year. So thank you both for joining me, and I will see you guys next year.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. It was a good time.
Yep, thank you. See you next year.
Yep. Take care, everybody.